So if you did not happen to check out my last video, we went over an insider's tweet talking about a multiverse element that will be explored or built upon in Marvel Spider-Man 2 from Ratchet & Clank. But in that tweet, he also had a link to his own YouTube video, and in this video, he talked about a lot of interesting things, so we're gonna break that down. Now just keep in mind for context, this video is like a year old, but it's new to me and I've never seen it and haven't heard any of this stuff. And I'm surprised more people haven't talked about this yet. So at the time I'm recording this, it's currently sitting at like 3,500 views. So likely you guys haven't seen it either. And if you haven't seen it, go check the video out, after this breakdown. And the creator, he seems like a cool guy. His video will be in the description down below. Just keep in mind, anything that is not confirmed by official sources like Insomniac Games, Marvel Games, a Sony executive, or sources involved with Marvel Spider-Man 2 are just rumors to take with a grain of salt. If you don't know, I'm doing a 1K Q&A video, so if you have any questions for me, you can comment them down below and I will respond to them in that video. So if you want to be featured in that video, comment down below any question. It could be anything. So let's get into this. So first thing he talks about is Ratchet & Clank and like how amazing it looks or whatever, just for context. And he says that essentially Marvel Spider-Man 2 is going to look better than Ratchet & Clank.
You see how Ratchet & Clank looks, like how amazing it is? Now this may not come to as a surprise, but what I can honestly say is that Spider-Man 2 will look better than Ratchet & Clank.
And he also says, well, kind of like, of course, you know, but he compared like Ratchet & Clank to like a Pixar movie. So like, it'll look better than that is what he's saying. And from like when we seen like the reveal trailer of Marvel Spider-Man 2, like I don't doubt it, but I'm sure like we haven't seen anything yet. Then he goes on to say that Marvel Spider-Man 2 will be just as populated, if not more populated than Ratchet & Clank.
Spider-Man 2 will be just as populated or more than Ratchet & Clank.
Now, if you guys don't know, I have not played Ratchet & Clank, but I would say Insomniac's New York is pretty populated and it has just the right amount of people, and it isn't overpopulated or underpopulated. It feels like just the right amount of people in my opinion. So if it will be more populated, does that mean a bigger map possibly? I would think so, and especially with the trailer hint to the bigger map that we got with the area code of Brooklyn on the wall where Venom pops out of the alley. On the left side of the wall, I'll put a picture up right here, it says 718. 718 is the area code for Brooklyn, Staten Island, and as well Queens. So with that, why would they populate the game more? Because there would probably be too many people if there isn't a map expansion. That's just how I look at it in my eyes. Hopefully this does mean the map gets bigger though. He then went on to mention that the ray tracing for the game is a lot better.
The third thing I wanted to share is that the ray tracing is a lot better now. Whew. Whew. Yo. Let's just say the ray tracing is a lot better. I'll just leave it at that.
We don't know like the margin of how much better. He almost told us more, but then like he held back and like you could tell and said, that's all I'll say for now. The ray tracing in Marvel Spider-Man was already pretty great, especially on PC. And I know it's like, I'm talking like PC versus like console, but I didn't get to play the original games on PS5. So I'm just basing my opinion off PC, of course, because I'm pretty sure there wasn't ray tracing on PS4. I had the base PS4 at least when I played the game, so I wouldn't really know about the ray tracing on like the original games like console wise. Next, he talks a little bit more about like what we actually covered yesterday or in my previous video, depending on when this is uploaded. He basically says that Marvel Spider-Man 2 has the ability to go from quote unquote one Spideyverse to the next.
Spider-Man 2, let's just say Spider-Man 2 has the ability to go from like different like Spidey verses and stuff like that. So just like how you saw in the movie and you got different places you can go and stuff like that is a possibility. It can be done. It's been explored. I'm not sure if it was finalized though.
And what I think he means by this is they have played around with it a lot to see like what they can do with it and how it works, but it won't be in the game, like from what he knows. So I'm going to compare this to like sort of like how when people discovered there were like multiplayer coding in the first couple of Spider-Man games, but we know Marvel Spider-Man and Miles Morales were not multiplayer, they were single player. So with that, I think this multiverse inclusion in Marvel Spider-Man 2 isn't true in terms of like a story plot and stuff like that. I think it's something with like the technology that like they're testing out and using that tech to like make the games load faster, like the gameplay transition quicker, smoother to cutscene back into gameplay, shit like that. but they were playing with it to see like, you know, like how it would maybe be going from like one universe to the next, possibly for like future games. Again, sort of like the multiplayer aspect. I'm sure that's what this is. After that, he talks about the Unreal Engine 5 and how it will be like that, but in Marvel Spider-Man 2. And he's not saying the game will run on that engine, but he talks like about, like, for example, like this clip, he said they have tech coming to the game where like if something falls and like breaks, you can like break away at the rock, so to speak, like for example. So basically, I think what he's getting at is that we will be able to interact with the environment more around you in the game. And honestly, like this would be pretty cool and interesting. I could imagine like the boss battles will be way better and like more brought to life with this technology if this is true. I hope this is true. Not that their boss battles are necessarily bad, but this could definitely add on to and improve their boss battles by like a huge margin, I think, at least, like with the destructiveness and like being able to interact more with it. So this next part is what I like really find crazy, only because like he essentially in a way predicted Venom. Now like let me explain. Yes, we've seen the symbiote in like the post-credit scenes of like Marvel's Spider-Man and Miles Morales. However, I don't think it was ever confirmed we were getting Venom in this game by anyone like before the reveal trailer. And if anything, they really teased Norman Osborn becoming the Green Goblin like as much as they tease Venom. And keep in mind, this video like we are talking about and like going over is old. This is a year ago roughly, and it released like 2 months before the reveal trailer. This video came out in July 2021 and the trailer we got came out in September 2021, if I didn't say that already. But he went on to say the tech in the game hints to Venom. He said he doesn't know if they will give us like opportunity to play him or if he's just a boss battle, but he says a lot of the tech in the engine of the game hints to Venom or use of Venom in the game. But it's not confirmed we can play Venom, he said. But the thing Venom can do, and like based off of like Venom's abilities he has, are being implemented into the game from a tech design standpoint. So I'm not exactly sure what this means, but I'm gonna sort of like, you know, just take my best educated guess on this part and like, you know, base it off what we know Venom's abilities vary to be across media. Venom has the ability to clone powers after bonding with someone that has powers. Venom can regenerate himself because of his, you know, gooey symbiote nature. Venom has a sort of camouflage where, you know, he can be not visible on the host to the outside world, or change into different articles of clothing for said host. Venom can as well generate tentacles, limbs, sometimes weapons. So I think maybe the technology he could be referring to has to do with like probably like the generation of like tentacles, limbs, weapons, and as well the regeneration of himself, like where he can morph into Venom, morph into clothes, morphs out of sight. So in my eyes, he was talking about like the tech emulated like hints of those types of powers Venom has. He then went on to say the game was likely to be a PS5 exclusive, but he wasn't able to confirm it like at the time, but we already know that now, of course. He also said this next piece of information was not confirmed to him, but he was told it was heavily explored, and this is actually talking about the multiplayer stuff I mentioned earlier. He said it's not like Marvel's Avengers or anything like that, but it's more like a mode separate from the multiplayer to allow you to have multiplayer in the game. And there was an interesting thing that he said right afterwards.
There's a lot of things in Spider-Man 2 that's gonna be heavily influenced by a lot of the comics. And that right there is very telling.
So first, let's talk about the multiplayer. So again, the multiplayer stuff, I think it's likely we can have some form of multiplayer, whether that be like a co-op thing where you can play the story as Peter or Miles possibly with somebody else, or maybe it's more of like a 1v1 thing, or like who knows what it could be, but maybe it could even be for like the DLC or something. I think that'd be pretty cool. A co-op DLC expansion pack, that would actually be super dope in my opinion. But real quick, I want to touch on the part for a minute where he talked about the heavy influence from the comic books. As we know, there's Venom and likely Kraven the Hunter in the game based off of, you know, the voice in the trailer. If you didn't know, there is a comic storyline called Kraven's Last Hunt where basically Kraven the Hunter gets the upper hand on Spider-Man and buries him alive. And there's a panel in there that went viral and like became a meme if you didn't know. So I think Kraven's Last Hunt they're taking inspiration from, definitely, because they did at some point say this game is going to be like really dark. But as well, because Spider-Man in that comic storyline did have the symbiote in there, but he didn't have the actual symbiote. From what I remember, it was just the cloth version, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I read Kraven's Last Hunt, but yeah, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But as well, something else I wanted to refer back to is my video a month or 2 months ago where we talked about a 4chan leak. And yes, 4chan can be very hit or miss, but a guy on 4chan said he played a beta of the game, and in the beta, Miles and Pete were looking for a guy in a green ski mask who looked a lot like the Sin Eater, but they weren't sure if it was the Sin Eater. So with that, I think they could be adapting the comic Venom origin story possibly, beat for beat, or maybe just like the first half of it, because Sin Eater and like the death of Jean DeWolf, that is like the first half of the Venom origin story. But of course, like, you know, they will add on to or change some things here and there because, you know, it's Insomniac, they like to do their fun twist and that kind of stuff. But with the person that we're talking about today, he did say in his video they are taking heavy influence on the comics, and, you know, again, Sin Eater is technically a part of the original 616 comic Venom origin story. So maybe that 4chan leak is true, maybe it isn't. Of course, you know, we'll have to wait and see when the game comes out. I really hope they take inspiration from the comics because the Venom origin story has not been adapted that faithfully, like, you know, to add Sin Eater and like Jean DeWolf and that whole part of the story. But after that, he goes on to talk about the weather in the game.
Dynamic weather is supposed to play a major role in the game. Next level.
He compares it to the Unreal Engine 5 trailer, which I'll put on the screen for you guys just to see for context. That trailer is beautiful, I thought so. So hopefully we get this from Marvel Spider-Man 2 or better. Another thing he talks about, which I find actually really insane if this one's true, he says it wasn't confirmed to him, but that every building you see in the game should be accessible.
But you see how you got so many buildings in a lot of these open world games, like you may be able to walk inside every single building, be able to go up to each, like everything that you see should be accessible to you.
Like everything you see won't be just cosmetic. If you see it, you can go inside of it, be a part of it. And this is like actually insane. And this kind of goes back to the whole entire Ratchet and Clank tech that they're exploring and building upon and like utilizing. I think this has to do with that as well. Like if we're gonna be able to like access any building or anything like that, it's probably because of that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart multiverse technology we were mentioning earlier. Instead of, you know, like going to like enter Peter's apartment or something, we won't get a loading screen. We'll just be able to go in it because it's already loaded because of that like technology. But again, if this is true, like this is gonna be some next level shit, to be honest. Like I just want to be able to go into Pete's apartment and stuff like that. I think that would be cool, you know, check out some Easter eggs we may see. But like if we're able to go into other buildings too, that'd be pretty sick. Imagine going into like the Daily Bugle or like, you know, whatever other buildings, maybe the Avengers Tower. That one might be closed, but who knows, we'll see. So what do you think of all this crazy potential info for Marvel Spider-Man 2? Honestly, even if like half of this stuff, or even if a couple of these things are true, it would be pretty crazy. Make sure you comment your opinion down below so I can discuss all of that with you in the comments section. Thank you for taking time out of your day to click on this video. If you don't know, I'm doing a 1K Q&A video, so if you have any questions for me, you can comment them down below and I will respond to them in that video. So if you want to be featured in that video, comment down below any question. It could be anything. And if you are new to the channel, I cover Spider-Man related scoops, rumors, leaks, confirmations for the games, movies, TV shows, and I try to upload as much as I can. So if any of that interests you, hit the subscribe button. Again, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're almost there at the time I'm recording this video. If you want more of this type of content, leave a like on the video. Don't forget to check out my latest video on the left if you haven't already. I hope you have had a good day and that you enjoyed the video. Until next time.